What's up, y'all? Welcome back out to the bench in the backyard. Today we're going to be doing some work on this Osmanthus heterophilia, the false holly. And what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be cutting way back. We're going to go ahead and get this repotted into one of my pond baskets. And yeah. So first thing I need to do is grab these wire cutters. And cut off any of the guy wires we've got holding it down to the basket or the pot. And then it's time to do a little bit of excavation. Get the weeds off. And this is the pot that it came in. So this is not my normal compost mix, but I mean, it's probably fairly similar. It's probably got a little bit more pine bark in it. So we're going to come in.
Springtime dawn breaks with a breath. Bearded man pots his life takes a step. Bonsai whisper leaves just grew. Cold dirt gleams in morning dew. Summer sizzle, sun so bright. Garden flourishes in the light. Potting bench a sacred stand. Bonsai thrives beneath his hand. Summer sizzle, sun so bright. Garden flourishes in the light. Potting bench a sacred stand. Bonsai thrives beneath his hand. Oh, he tends to grow so rare. Bearded man just standing there. Rooted deep in backyard dream. Life's a dance by nature's scheme. Autumn's breeze and leaves of fall. Colors shift but still they call. Bearded man trims fading green. Crafting life through every scene. Autumn's breeze and leaves of fall. Colors shift but still they call. Bearded man trims fading green. Crafting life through every scene. Winter's chill but still he stays. Twisting branches through the haze. Frost may nip but roots hold tight. He's bonsai lifting towards the light. Oh, he tends to grow so rare. Bearded man just standing there. Rooted deep in backyard dream. Life's a dance by nature's scheme.
Now, the biggest problem I have with a lot of these nursery stock items that you get is they're planted in pine bark. And it's fine as long as the pine bark is like that. But you need a piece that's real big like that, and that root runs into it. It's like, uh-oh, I either have to go up and make an ugly root, or have to go to the side, make a crossing root, or have to go down and make a diving root. And so you get stuff like this that's coming all the way across you then need to get rid of are this, like it's coming right off of the trunk of the tree and going straight to the outside, straight across that trunk. We've got some really big roots down here on the bottom that I've been trying to work in towards to where I can actually cut them off. Trying to find out where they come from the tree. Just sitting here combing out the bottom, trying to get up to the top. Just want to be able to sit it flat. And I can't get this back side down. You find pieces of bark like that you can't get up to any of the roots, and you can't get your root rake up underneath there. Ooh, that's a big boy. This one I'm going to cut flat like that because I want some more roots to come out of here. Like, I don't want to get rid of all of the big giant roots. That one's a little high up. But I'm trying to get as much flare as I can on the base of this tree. I mean, because it is a triple trunk like this, and these have all fused together. It's a nice wide base. We'll have some pretty decent roots along here. I'll need to develop some more roots here on the front. But one way we can do that is by cutting roots that we don't need, like that. And these three little stubbies. And now hopefully I should get some roots developing from where we cut all of those off. This one we may not get anything out of, because as I was combing out the roots, I stripped all the bark off of it. Over here, along the back side. So where we've got all these little tiny roots, we're going to come in, cut them back. Now I've got a big mat of roots right here. And I may wind up having to break out my Sawzall and cut them off. We'll see if I can't get up to them a little bit better. I don't want to have to go find my Sawzall, let alone make, hopefully it's charged. I don't know if the batteries are all charged for it. And again, those big pieces of bark are why I can't get down up in here and actually comb it out properly. Big old giant pieces of bark. I mean, I get most people who are buying their trees from a nursery, unless it's an actual bonsai nursery, don't care what their roots look like as long as they feed the tree. But I mean, I can't find stuff like this anywhere near me that's got good roots already on them. You know, you're probably not going to be able to find a lot of tea olive or false holly or false olive that have been set up for bonsai. I guess I haven't really seen any. I mean, nobody's posted any videos of them, so I guess I'm either the first or the only person doing it on the actually showing people that I'm doing it on the internet. I'm almost there. Got a couple of big roots back here that are crossing. Come in. Take those off. Any of these roots that are growing down, I'm getting rid of. Because it'll stop me from being able to get it into a shallower pot in the future. Especially the thicker ones. Really, I need to work on this spot right here. Got this really thick root right here. That is most of my problem. And so now I can actually get down towards the base of this one. And there we go. That should be, no, that's another piece of bark. Another piece of bark. There we go. Finally. All right. So there we go. That's our root work done. It's fairly all the same length. Everything's starting to work outwards. Come in here. Clean up any of these really small upward growing roots. Now this one back here is still growing across, but we did take this off right here, so we should be getting a little bit of root growth from there. That's the back anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This is the front of our nabari, which is, I mean, pretty daggum good. But you can see, you can come in here and see. I'll clean all these up a little bit later once we get this in a pot. But the calluses are starting to roll over all of this, so that is fantastic. We're probably going to be we're definitely going to be shortening these up a lot. So yeah. Will that fit? Not quite. I have a larger pond basket that I can use. That was, or is, all of my extra fish stuff. Fish are doing fine. Say hi, guys. Hi, guys. See? They're all just hanging out down there. So, I mean, they survived the winter perfectly well. It was crazy. I mean, at one point, there was like a 3-inch layer of ice on top of the water. And I was like, oh, I hope they make it. And they did. So that's really, really good. And yes, we will fit in there. Just. Let me take off this big root. It's much bigger than the rest of them. And it stops me from getting into the pot. Mainly it stops me from getting into the pot. Because all of these roots are eventually going to thicken up. We'll have a nice nabari on that. The nabari's already looking really pretty, really good from the front. So that'll be the front. This trunk over here will be slightly forward. That way it's not a linear 1-1. We'll get a little bit of depth to it. It keeps all of them off of the same plane. If we go too far that way, then this backside's on the same plane. But if we go like that, then straight through the middle is where this one winds up. So that'll be about our front, which is good because that gives us our widest base. It gives us our best root spread. And this is just a really cool little tree. Let me get this set up and I will be right back. I'm just going to put in the good mound of my bonsai soil, which I have to go toss together real quick. And like I've done before, we're going to come in from just below the trunk line. And we're going to cross them. So this one that's over here on your left, your left side is going to go to your right side of the tree. And this one over here that is on your right is going to come around over onto the left side. And then they will come, this one that came over here, we're actually going to bring on the same side that it comes into the basket from, and we'll cross this one over as well. So way down here, and then the next one we're going to do the same thing but from the other corners. So this one is going to come down here below the soil line, up out of the roots. But on this side of the tree, this one's going to do the same thing, coming in from your right side, but then wrapping around your left side of the tree. And then again, this one that is coming from now your left side of the tree is going to go into the right side of the basket, down below the soil line. I can get it through the hole. And then this one that's coming from your left side of the tree is going to go through the right side of the basket, down as low as I can get it. And the best part about this is you can tighten it down as hard as you want. Like, I mean, that thing's not even moving in the basket. Make sure we're down below the soil line. And if anything gets loose while we're working soil into this root system, then I don't have to worry about where is that wire up here on top that I need to find and bring down. I can literally just pull from right here and tighten. So now we'll fill in around the top. And we'll come in with our chopstick and make sure that we work this soil down in between the roots in the basket for sure. And the great thing about these pond baskets is you don't get that that root system wrapping around the pot. Like, they'll come out to here and then they'll just, the tips won't be able to keep growing. And so the tip basically dies off and it sends back those hormones. Basically the same thing that's happening with the auxins coming from the tips of your leaves down back into the rest of the wood, telling it, hey, I just lost my top. You might want to start another leader somewhere. And so that's what these roots are doing as well. They'll send that same signal. I'm not sure if it's auxin, like it is coming from the tips of the leaves, but it's a very similar hormonal signal that says, hey, somewhere deeper down on this root, I need some more root. And so you'll get nice bifurcations farther back on your roots. You'll get a new root system developing back in it. So that's also a good thing when you're repotting. That's why you always want to at least trim your roots, just the tips. I mean, like you're on a branch, you want to just take that first node off at least, if you want something growing further back in, or you want that bifurcation to happen. But if you do that with your roots, same thing happens. Just up underneath the soil. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. But that's how you develop a new root system, is by clipping those tips. We also want to make sure that we're getting all of those air gaps that we definitely have down here, because we just about bare rooted it. There's a little bit of soil left up in there, but it wasn't a whole lot. But yeah, by working this up underneath here, we're making sure that we have. And if you notice that your tree's getting a little loose and you're using a pond basket system like this, you can go ahead and tighten that up a little bit. Move it out of your way. And go back to chopsticking. And you want to keep doing this until your pot quits eating soil. So if you're still pushing soil down in there, and it keeps getting the soil that's around here keeps going away, add a little bit more and keep chopsticking, because any air gaps in there, it's going to do the same thing that out here the tips getting exposed to the air will do. But if you root prune the middle, then you're going to lose that whole entire root. And that is definitely not something that you want to do, especially on a tree that you've been working on for a while, or something that you're just now starting to develop that nabari. If you start losing major roots, that'll set you back a couple of years. But here, you can see right here, there's a hole. And as I'm pushing down into it, more and more soil's leaving. So what I'm going to do is grab a little bit more. Come down over here. And eventually it'll stop eating soil. It might take 2 or 3 scoops. It might take just one. You never know. And you always want to make sure that you're changing up your angle too, coming in from a few different angles, so that if you found an air gap and you push it all right here and it stops taking soil, but you push over here and it takes some soil, then you know that air gap's not filled in yet. It will start to feel different also when you're filling in the hole. You won't be able to push the chopstick down quite so far. But then you change the angle up on it a little bit and you find a deeper hole in a slightly different direction. You want to make sure you fill everything up. Yeah, you can see right here. So I've already I've already put a couple of pours of soil down in here, and it's still just taking it. Well, I had that one break on me. It should be fine with just the one. We might be able to bring it up a little bit higher. It'll be fine. That one crossing wire is still enough for me to pick it up without it moving. So I'm not worried about it. I just would prefer to have two lines in there. It'll be okay. Alright, so there we are. All nice and soiled in. I'm going to take a bit of sphagnum. We'll break this up across the top so that if any of those roots do get completely exposed, they'll still stay damp. It's also a good way, especially in these pond baskets, so that you can tell when they really need to be watered, because the sphagnum moss looks completely different when it is dry, wet versus dry. And if you get all of the pumice or all of the lava rock, like the pumice has a tendency to float, so you'll get a lot of pumice up at the top. And it just basically, when it's wet and dry, you can't really tell the difference. It's basically the same gray. So I like to put a little bit of sphagnum, especially in these pond baskets, on top, just so I can tell when they need to be watered, because it'll turn gray. I'll show you in just a second, because I'm gonna go water them. So yeah, you can tell. Whoops. A little bit reddish versus that. I mean, that difference is really easy to tell. Whereas a piece of wet pumice and a piece of dry pumice basically look the same. Like, if you're not sitting there watching it dry, you can't really tell, because you come back and the whole thing, it's all basically the same color. But yeah. Alright. So that's about the front. Here. Actually, basically straight dead at the corner. Like that is going to be our front. And I really do need my shears now. I can get my other ones. Hopefully I find those. Ooh, I might have taken them to the trash. Well, not the trash, but the compost pile in the back. But yeah, let me go check that. Sorry about that. While I was unwiring it, my camera died. The battery died. So while it was charging, I went ahead and unwired. But as you can see, I did have one branch break on me while I was wiring. Oh, I did find my my other scissors. They were hiding up underneath one of my baskets. So I'm just going to come in here and trim off everything that is dyed. That wasn't dead all the way back, but it's fine. It was going to come off anyway. This whole branch is actually going to come off. I've been sitting here looking at it. It doesn't really add to the piece. And take that off. All right. So what I'm going to be doing is, this is getting a major haircut. I'm coming back. On this one, probably to right here. And then to this one. Like that. I don't want to cut that too much. This is where it split on me when I was wiring it the last time. Well, this whole front branch can come, and I can use this as my leader to that one. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. And then that one's going to come back as well to right here. So it's starting to come back forward. Back here, I've got no growth on the first 3 inches, 4 inches of this one, and I've got this branch that's starting to come out. So I think I'm going to go ahead, take this one back to here, and then we'll come clean this one up, and once this branch has had time to shoot out. This one will cut back to here. Take that out so that I can actually get in there. And then back here, we can either bring this up and over the top like that, and then bring it back up, or this whole thing can come off and we can bring this one forward. And again, back here, I don't have a whole lot of growth back here, but I could get some buds. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the tips up here just to see if I can't force some back budding down here. I've got what looks like it might be a bud forming here. So if we do, we can grow this one out. I've got one right here that's growing kind of down if that one buds out. But I mean, these things, I mean, it buds back from old wood, no problem. So that's our main choices. One of these two is going to become our new leader, and it's either going to come over this way and up, or this is going to come forward. It should been fine. but it's not going to bend until after this branch. So I think what I'm going to have to do is use this one, bring it up and around like that, and then this will sit up about like that. So this guy back here, I don't want to take it all the way off, but what I will do is cut back to these branches, and then we're going to wait for this to bud back in here if we get any. If not, that can go away. This whole branch may go away if that happens. I've got this little crotch growth that needs to go. And so do we want to keep this? I could shorten it back to this leader, or to this branch, and use that as a new leader. I think that's what I'm going to be doing, because if you look in here, there's a little bit of wire scarring right before that one. So if I use this as my new end of this branch, it'll get me better taper. It'll get rid of that wire scarring. I don't have out my so that right there. So this we can bring out like that. Sorry. This one right here, we can bring out this way and have that set up as our new branch. So this one, and this one are all coming from the same spot. Actually, this one's slightly below these two, but it's still going to contribute to inverse taper there. I think this back one's going to have to go all the way. And it's better to do it now before the inverse taper happens. But it is going to leave a pretty big scar. But that's fine. This is never going to be a show tree. Probably. I mean, eventually it might wind up being it, but it's not going to be for at least a decade. So by that time, any of these scars should be fairly small. Now up here, you can see we bring this up and around like this. That would be our new silhouette. So we're going to come in and do a little bit of a trim. I've got this old dead spot right here that I can nibble out a little bit. See if there's any more dead tips or dead spots. Right here is where I took a branch off before. We'll just clean that up a little bit. Up here, same thing. Don't think I need to trim that out anymore, What I am going to come in and do, this has got dead wood down here. This one is, I'm going to have to widen out a little bit. Just kind of try and nibble down, taking off as little as I can until I get all of that dark wood out, or at least to a point where it's not going to be a problem and it'll be able to callus over. So right now all I'm worried about is making sure that these are as minimal scarring as it's got as minimal scarring as possible. So like that. The rest of these should be okay. The callus is rolling over real nicely. So what I'm going to do is come in and just cut away the very inside of this callus. So there you can see everywhere that callus was, or the very inside of that callus, I've cut down to where you can see green. I'll do the same thing over here. Cut out the inside of this callus. Don't want to cut out the whole thing, because I mean that would be kind of counterproductive. I'm just coming in and making sure that callus can still roll back over that new, or this existing dead wood. Got one more right in here. Come up just along the inside edge. And cut out a little green strip. I don't know how much of that you got, but I've just been coming in and applying a little bit of cut paste everywhere we took a major branch off, and on each of these little former cuts that we had that we still need to get the callus over a little bit better. I'm just sitting here licking my fingers and applying some cut paste. The easiest way to do it is to start in the middle and then just roll your finger. So you're pressing in and then rolling down towards the outside of that cut. This one I'm going to let grow as it is, because it's the one that's feeding this callus back in the back. For this, we're going to push down into the soil just to anchors. Up here we've got 4 branches all coming from the same spot. I'm getting rid of the 2 weaker ones. So about like that. Alright, so that's what we're going to do for now. Over the summer, as this gets less and less as this tenses up a little bit, or as this kind of forms to that, I should be able to bend slowly down a little bit more. I don't want to do too much right now because I'll get a snap right here. Actually, it'll probably pull apart where it bifurcates. But for now, that's what we're going to do. This is going to go back out into the cold frame, and we'll see what it looks like in the spring. Eventually this will get topped as well. This will be my new leader. But for right now, kind of bringing us to this point right there. So the new top will be right here. This will all get cleaned up. But for now, that's what we got. Another little spin around. So yeah. If you like what you saw here, go ahead and subscribe. You can see more of this. If you didn't like what you saw here, go ahead and subscribe. You can make fun of me a little bit more. Leave a couple comments down below. Let me know what I could do differently in the future. Anything that I'm actually getting right. Your feedback really helps me improve my trees, improve my channel. But yeah. So until the next time I see y'all out at the bench in the backyard, just remember to grow them big, but keep them small.